everybody. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you'll know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to put the project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shoutout Show. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, host of the SOS Show, the Shoutout Show. I hope you're having a great day, a wonderful Wednesday, if you will. Allow me to introduce myself to people who come to the show for the first time. I'm the host, Preacher Mars, comedian, activist, educator, producer, all those good things. But most importantly, I'd like to be the person that provides a safe space for you to come, hear thoughts, share thoughts in our comment section. You know, my home is your home. And I would also say that the people who come here on a regular basis, they'll tell you that this home is your home as well. So if this is your first time coming on the Shoutout Show, relax. We're going to be talking about some things. Some will be a little controversial. Some of them won't, but some of them will be just good, hearty discussion, dialogue, if you will. We hope that you enjoy the dialogue. And it's my hope that we'll make a compelling argument to you that you come back. And maybe the argument that we have here, discussion we have here, you'll have with your friends, you'll have with your family. Believe me, the information I'm trying to give here is not my information. The information here is free. What you do with it is your business. So let's move forward. My regular people from the Shoutout Show, you know, I love you, I appreciate you. Let me give some shout outs right quickly. If you will, I don't know if right quickly is the word, but I'm giving right here. Sister Reed, always a shout out, soldier. Thanks so much for coming. Sister Satana, our consultant producer, definitely a soldier. And all the way up from the UK. I don't know how this sister stays awake. The show doesn't come on until 11 o'clock over there, and she manages to catch a lot of episodes. And I got some love all the way from Charlotte, Sister Sakina Majahid. Thank you for checking out the show. You know, brothers and sisters, I always appreciate people coming out the show because, you know, a part of being a comedian, as taken from my teachers, is that it's incumbent for us to learn. And we learn in layers. The greatest teachers I've had, the greatest mentors I have, told me to take a position, have the discipline to maintain that position, and see what the world does around you. And I asked, what does that mean? He means, Reginald Kitchen told me this. He said, you know, brother, it frames your ability to accept change that's not to your liking, number one. He said, but number two, he said, it sharpens your intellect. Now, let me say, when I say sharpens your intellect, it means that you're able to slow down and see the moving pieces around you. You know, a lot of times in politics and social media and all of that, our first instinct, brothers and sisters, is to go with the thing that we see. We go with the likes, we go with the subscribes, we do that type of stuff. You know, when you're trying to get your YouTube channel up, get a lot of numbers, what do they tell you? Look at what everybody else is doing and bite off of that and get your numbers up. The whole idea of going viral, you know, viral is an integral word in society right now. Viral is like virus. And it's important to understand that we, in many regards, provide a lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the plausibility, if you will, for a lot of the stuff that we're going on now, that we're seeing go on now. A lot of the ideas that people are putting out are not ideas that are particularly new. It's just ideas that people have been looking for or holding for the right opportunity. Now, I'm going to start this show off because I'm going to be talking about voting. This segment is called Before We Go to the Polls. It's a clear bite on James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, just so I give proper due. Now, I'm talking about the rhythm and the cadence of the title. I'm not talking about the actual information because Brother Baldwin has not been here with us for quite a while. However, His wisdom lives on. His wisdom lives on. Some of the best jokes I've ever written were not funny. They were just so truthful, you couldn't tell them. You had to tell them to yourself to keep yourself cheered up and in tune. Again, like Brother Kitchen says, you have to plant your feet strongly and look at the world around you. Oftentimes, and I'm going to say this, oftentimes we're too quick to move around. You know, the majesty and the magnificence of the elderly is that as they get older and they don't have the mobility, their acuity becomes a lot sharper. Their ability to see through things becomes a lot sharper. So let me begin. Let me give Sister Robina, she got a lot of information. So I'm going to give you guys what my mentors call the game. Okay? Get that camera straight. I'm going to give you the game on voting. I'm going to start from a situation scenario that you all know. However, it's important to lay a foundation on how much of an imperative this is. When you go to the polls this time, brothers and sisters, and I do say go, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to suggest how you go to the polls. Oh, that's Miss Eleanor and her crew. Hey, what's going on, sis? That's my big sis. When you go to the polls this time, before you cast a ballot, before you get in your cars, before we watch any political commercials, before we put on any buttons, have a meeting. Have a meeting. Call your own councils, your own voting councils, if you will, and tell them, this is what we need to do. Share this with them. You are not going to be voting for a system, brothers and sisters, a political system that has any intangibles to uplift you. It is a system that's been provided so that even as unfair it is, you have to partake in it because it's the only system. Thus, you give away, in some regards, your own authenticity, your own activism, your own realism, because you know the system is corrupt before you go there. This is voting Armageddon. We are sitting in a time and place, brothers and sisters, where we visibly watch folks cheat, redlining, taking people off voter rolls, right? We're gonna make sure you can't vote. We're gonna make it as difficult as we can for you to vote. And then if you lose, we're gonna say it's still a fair process. It's not a fair process. It's never been a fair process. Not until we had Barack Obama did anyone feel that this thing was possibly fair. This is a system that's crowded, produces, and regurgitates old white men. And in your voter councils, do some research. Take the book. Go back 30 years. Go back to the 60s. Go back to the 70s. Find out how these people voted in the 60s and 70s. The senator in Maine and all these people and Mitt Romney. What did they vote when black people were suffering? What did they vote when women were suffering? What did they vote when the poor were suffering? And you'll find they didn't vote for the poor or the blacks or the suffering until it became advantageous. And now the reversal, brothers and sisters, the reversal is they fear an educated electorate going to the polls. They seek to disenfranchise you, but still want you to believe that you're taking part in a fair system. It's not a fair system. It's never been a fair system. And if we have to continue with this, I once said we should, for lack of a better word, disengage from the process. Hear what I said? Disengage from the process, but not totally. Not totally. You see, my strategy is go to the polls this time, but go with an understanding. You see, if you know the house is burning, You don't wear gasoline drawers. You hear what I'm saying? If you know the house is burning, don't wear gasoline drawers. Wear stuff that's going to protect you. You have people that have run amok of a law who created a constitutional law that allows people to do whatever the hell they want to, because in that law, it was made pure and made clear we are not worried about moral character, moral integrity. We're not worried about that. You have people that hide behind what would be crimes right now. I'm talking major felonies, doing major years because they know that they can cheat the process because there's something in place called by a constitutional law. And what they would say about constitutional law is this right here. It's the law of the land. Hear what I'm saying now? It's the law of the land. Let me say it again. It's the law of the land. Why did I say it's the law of the land? I'm going to tell you why. Because in their minds, the law of the land supersedes the law of God. These people, in constitutional frameworks, have made themselves gods. They do not serve the people. They do not love the people. They exploit the people. And if the people have a question about the process, then all of a sudden the people are looked upon as threats. Case number one, McCarthyism. McCarthyism, Senator Joe McCarthy out of Wisconsin, ruined the lives of numerous people, including black people, by sympathizing that if you don't do what we tell you to do or fall in line, therefore you are a communist. We didn't even know what a communist was. You are a communist. And what black folk knew was, I want to be on communists. You know why? Because the communists were catching hell. And black people like, look, I'm already catching racism. I definitely want to be catching any blows as a communist. One of our heroes, one of our great heroes, Paul Robeson, stood up. Find the tape. Go to YouTube. He stood up and said, I'm a black man and I know the law. And I know this constitutional law is weak. And they disparaged that man. They broke him down. They made it to a situation, brothers and sisters, whereby he could not work in America. Why am I saying this? I might be wrong for saying this, but you know, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there. This is not scholarly about what I'm about to say. Okay, this is not scholarly. It's not scholarly. It's not for Quran. It's not from it's not Quran, Bible, Torah. You know, I'm giving you what it is that I see. Okay? And Sister Tana's right. Today is National Voter Registration Day. How many people are seeing that on your emails? How many people are seeing that in social media? Are you registered to vote? Get out and go vote. Because people are counting on you not going to vote. I digress. The biggest mistake in religion, in my estimation, is how we interpret the devil. How we interpret the devil. We interpret the devil one way, but we don't give enough of an opportunity to understand that even the devil can evolve. Or the devil stays the same and our knowledge deteriorates. Our knowledge becomes less and less realistic, less and less reliable. Watching senators, watching politicians over the years, I personally feel that many of them have a very strong relationship with the devil. I know. Let it sink in. But here's the thing we don't understand about that relationship. Now, as a strategist, as we go. Let me see. All right, brothers. I hope the sound is back. Is that better? Inshallah. Okay. So I was talking about the devil and politicians. So bear with me here. Talked to a friend of mine who had been locked up for quite a bit of time. And he explained this thing to me, and I want you guys to work with me on this. He talked about the devil. He said the devil has evolved to the point that they know how to. The devil services the lowest common denominator of humanity, okay? The devil understands the lowest common denominator of mankind, and he services that. Now, people are going, is that the poor? Is that the uneducated? I'm like, no, that is not who he's talking about. He services the lowest character of mankind. Those who are not in control of their lower desires, that's what they used to say. But then it hit me with this. Politicians are running mates with Shaitan. I say it again. Politicians are running mates with Shaitan. And I'm going to tell you how. Politicians, 9 times out of 10, are not very, very popular people. To be a politician over a period of time, you're going to have to understand that you will not be popular. You will not be liked, and you will have to make compromises. Systematically, politicians are not particularly positive, or not positive, but popular people. But dig this phrase. Dig this phrase. Okay? Shaitan does not take the strong and break them down and make them weak. He doesn't take the strong people and break them down and make them weak. That takes too much time. He takes the weak and gives them the illusion that they are strong. Let me say it again. He takes the weak and gives them the illusion that they are strong. And that's what you have with politicians. What makes politicians feel like they have power? It's this thing called constitutional law. It is access and engagement with law that the rest of us don't have. We can't call on it. We're not in that space. There's no safe space for us to understand constitutional law and how it affects us. But politicians, brothers and sisters, politicians do have that. They do have it. And they have it in abundance. And so when you watch somebody like a Mitch McConnell, if you will, I look at Mitch McConnell, I'm like, outside of your very, very close group of friends, you probably want a popular guy. And in that space, Mitch McConnell, I don't know if you listen, who cares? But we know that you're constitutionally weak. Your constitution is weak. And the only thing that allows you having a weak constitution is that you got a constitution that's weak as well. A constitution that allows people to murder, rob, steal, rape, and a whole plethora of other things. And they allow them to run behind law. So this time, brothers and sisters, before we head to the polls, I am going to suggest that we all have caucuses. We all have our own caucuses. You know how political parties have caucuses? Have caucuses in your neighborhoods. And when you go to the polls, when you head to the polls this time, go in numbers. The idea now is social distancing will allow people or allow powers to be to keep folks from the polls. I love this right here. I hate them. Well, they get my salon for two about a cartoon. Yes. Drunk on the perceived power. Well, let me tell you something. We have power. But we have power in a very limited way. We have power because we believe that it's derived from the laws that quote unquote protect us. These laws, if they don't protect one person, they don't protect anybody. That's reality. And so we continue to have this society of people who are weak, but they are artificially pumped up because they have the power of the Constitution behind them. There's nothing scarier, brothers and sisters, when somebody breaks the law and they know that the law in place is going to save them. In Louisville right now, we still don't have a decision on Breonna Taylor. And I haven't talked about Breonna Taylor on this show. I've done my research. And I didn't talk about Breonna Taylor on the show. I said, because I want to see the outcome. I want to see the outcome. Yes, they gave her family $12 million in a civil suit, but you don't believe that that family wouldn't pay $100 million had the daughter back? You see how it plays? They're giving you a legal reconstitution to feel better about the situation. And they feel like that $12 million is going to quell the rest of Louisville. Well, you know that's a lie because they barricaded Louisville, downtown, 25 blocks, can't get in, can't get out. I mean, come on, folks. We know what the game is. We know the hustle is. I say before we go to the polls, the same way we go to protests, understand what your actions actually mean. Understand the value. As much as we go to protests, we need 5 to 6 times that many people to go, hear me, go to the polls. But here's the difference. When you vote, brothers and sisters, don't leave. Stay and make sure other people vote. Stay until the last person votes. And when people come up and they want to intimidate, guess what? You stand on post like the old FOI. You stand on post like you got some sense. You stand on post like you're protecting your own civil rights and voting rights. Don't leave. Make a statement. This time when you head to the polls, somebody rent a bus. Somebody rent a van. I don't care if it's 2 people showing up on a skateboard. Show up in mass. Because in mass, people get scared. The numbers, if you will. The numbers represent the possibility. The numbers represent potential. And if you take just a pinch of that potential, the people who are out there trying to do all this stuff, trying to hide behind all this constitutional law, will fail. Because they're weak. They're weak in a way that even, I believe, Satan laughs. One day we'll get a call from Satan. He's going to preach, I got these folks. Let me show you. And I'm going to go, man, you got them strung out, Satan. That's something. No, he's not going to call me. But if you call, I take the call. But, hey. What's my point? You have till November to realign and re-identify what your presence is going to be at the polls. I'm going to say it again. Go early, go in groups, go in mass. But here's the thing. When you finish and they give you a little button, don't leave. Don't leave. Let me carry it another one. We need the same type of protection around those ballot boxes where you turn in your early vote. We need people around those boxes right now. Joe Biden and all those guys getting lawyers, damn those lawyers. We can protect our right to vote. Show up, and show out. I don't care what you got to do. You make sure you take a picture of your phone. I don't care if so-and-so's phone, take a picture of their ballot, then you give it to them. And take a picture of the person who took the ballot. Make sure they're not lying. And follow the trucks that take the ballot. Make sure the trucks don't wind up at some dump someplace where they dump out 100, 200,000 votes and nobody knows about it. This is the situation. We can't have another Dimple Chad, brothers and sisters. We can't have that. No knock on George Bush, but come on, folks. It was a lie. Don't leave space for the lies. Flip it. Flip it. Let the people know that because voting is interesting. Voting is that space where we can let you know exactly what we feel about you. Voting is also the place where we can remove power. And in this situation, in this scenario, I am imploring everybody, change your tactics. Change your tactics. Show up early. If the voting booths open at 5 in the morning, camp out. You camp out for Beyonce tickets. You camp out for Jay-Z tickets. You camp out to get some Laker tickets. Show up at 3 in the morning. See the people who are going to be running those polling places coming in early. Have some donuts and coffee for them. Hey, we've been waiting on you. You know what you're waiting on? We're waiting on our freedom. We're waiting on a just electoral system. And also, don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. I'm not going to fool myself. The truth is, we know this system is not built for us. Because weak people don't build systems for people to become stronger than them. Let me say it again. Weak people do not build or invest in systems that allow for other folks to become stronger than them. Therein tells you the rub that this system doesn't work. That the system does not work. That the system has no good intentions. And even then, I would say this, it can still be defeated. But you have to have the will. Let me give Sister Rabina some love here. That's right. I'm not saying anything new. Sister Rabina said, look, as a family of 9, we went en masse, waited for each other to vote press, and that's what it is. I am saying, and I have, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to repeat this. That this time when you go to the polls, go as an army. Go as an army. You know why you go as an army? Because the army say, like the Marines, leave no man behind. When you vote, leave no man behind. Stand there, wait for folks. I don't care. Somebody bring a truck full of water. We're just all going to sit around and make sure that this thing goes down correctly. This thing goes down, despite the machinations that are in it, it goes down correctly. You know, back when they had the dimple chads, when Bush was first elected, they found out these machines were broken. Of course, it was after the fact. The machines were broken. That people had access to the machines, and the machines, they knew the machines were broken, but they didn't do anything to correct the machines. And it was possible that the same thing could happen. You got a young man from Illinois, Barack Obama, who said, wait a minute, we know how we can usurp the machines. We will get all these people. It was called souls to the polls. My mom always talks about this. Souls to the polls. And on Sunday, after you heard of the good word out of the good book, you got on your good foot and you got to the polls. Souls to the polls. So a spiritually enlightened people were going to vote. So I'm not going to beat this dead horse too much longer. But I've said some things, and I think this is important. Before we go to the polls, before we head to the polls, you need to have a conversation about what you want your life to look like in terms of these politicians. Because all laws, brothers and sisters, are local. Okay? All laws are local. What's going on, Nizal? Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That's my main man from Malaysia. That's my Malaysian brother. Nizal, good brother, man. I mean, if you ever go to Malaysia, hang out with Nizal. But he tried to get me to eat this funny fruit, and I ain't eat it because I was like, it might turn me into a chicken or something. I digress. Let me add this and keep it moving. Before we head to the polls, look at history. Look at history. Look at your ancestors and your family. Pick them up, call them. And ask them how they survived without the ability to vote. Say, I'm able to talk to my mother and my aunt and my aunts, and they can tell me. They can tell me what the vibe was. And they can tell me the thinking. You see, kids people my age group and younger, they don't know. They don't know what it was to not even have an option to vote. So I'm going to say this and keep it moving. Before we head to the polls, have that conversation. Speak to your neighbors. Speak to your brothers and sisters. My brother got his ballot today. But I'm also going to add this too before we head to the polls. Get in the corner someplace. All by yourself. Get in the corner someplace. Sit and meditate. And ask the question, is this system fair? Is it fair for you? Is it fair for your neighbor? Is it fair for your brothers and sisters? Is this system fair? And if your answer is no, what are you willing to do with the system? Sometimes you have to engage the system in order to disengage. And before you head to the polls, think about disengaging the people that allow for a corrupt system. They always talk about these third world countries and these coups and all of that. They're doing the same thing here. It's just it's the white supremacy version of it, because we're supposed to be a fair country. We're supposed to have constitutional law. But that's some BS. I've been black a long time. And I see where the law don't work for people that look like me. And I see where the law don't work for people that don't look like me. And this whole thing about voting, it's pageantry. It's pageantry, but it's necessary pageantry. But this time, take some muscle to the polls. I said this time, let them know you're coming. Engage in the credible threat, the visible threat. I once told you guys about a friend of mine, my mentor, Harry Weber, God bless him. And I told him I wanted to do something to help Muslim image. He said, write a press release. And I wrote, Muslim comedian tries to help image of Muslims in America. And he said, that's BS. He said, you don't know what you're talking about. And I got upset. He said, let me help you. He said, because you're a good young man, but you don't understand slick. Slick. For Muslims, that'd be the thick of slick. He said, let me rewrite your press release. And when he rewrote it, he said, now read it back to me. He gave it to me, and I reread it. And it said, Preacher Moss seeks to raise $100 million to change the image of Muslims in America. He said, dear friend, you have eliminated almost 98.5% of the people that will give you problems, because they're so stuck in themselves and so lost and disillusioned. They believe that to argue with you, to fight you, they got to raise $100 million. He said that's the only way they think they can win. But it's just this, I don't have $100 million. I don't. Really, I don't. I don't have $1 million. But I got one thought. That one thought is worth $100 million. It's worth $1 trillion. And that thought is called the truth. So when we head to the polls today, or whenever you go with the truth. Go with the truth that's connected to other truth. Go with the truth that's connected to the wellness of your family, the wellness of your community. Go with the truth that's connected to the word, the actions, the attributes of God. Understanding that even with all of that, there's always going to be a devil. So when you head to the polls, understand we're trying to be the political opponent. But this time, brothers and sisters, we're trying to take the wind out of the sails of the devil. I'm Preacher Mars, brothers and sisters. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I did. And not to even go further, but I'm just going to say, you know what? This vote is crucial. Today, we hit over 200,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 or COVID-related deaths. 200,000 people. You know how many people that is? You know how many votes that is? You know how many opportunities that is? You know how much potential that is that's just died? And we have a situation where we have a president who goes, ain't no big thing. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you who to vote for. You guys take it easy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will see you on the other side of the game. Take care. Stay blessed. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. Simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ramifications. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out ramifications.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.